Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name's Rhiannon and today I'm going to be talking about all of the books that I bought throughout May and June. I did decide to combine this book haul for the last 2 months, mainly because I hadn't really bought a lot, but looking at this stack now, that is definitely not the case. A lot of pre-orders came through at the same time, and I also have some subscription box books here to show you guys as well. So without further ado, let's just dive in because I feel like it is going to be a pretty big book haul. The first book I'm going to haul today is a very special one, and that is the ARC copy of A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. Now, for those of you who don't know, this is the first book in what is one of my favourite murder mystery series. I absolutely love it. I have the paperbacks and the gorgeous hardcover editions of this series, and by chance I now have the ARC copy. Now, I was recently watching Gavin from Gavin Reads It All's unhaul video, and what would you know, he was unhauling this one, so I very cheekily asked in the comments if he wouldn't mind sending it my way, and as you can tell, he very kindly agreed to do so. I genuinely can't believe it. I'm so happy to have this one in my collection. I did actually meet Holly Jackson at Yelp when she was doing promo for this book when it was first being released, and I entered into a draw to try and win one of these. However, I was unsuccessful, but as fate would have it, I do now own my very own copy. All it says on the back of this one is a murdered girl, a closed case, an A-grade student who won't let it go. And essentially we are following our main character Pippa, who is struggling to find something to write about as part of her end of year project, and she decides to investigate the Andy Bell case. Now, Andy Bell was a student at the same school that Pippa is now attending, who went missing a few years ago and was seemingly killed by her boyfriend at the time, Sal Singh. Pippa doesn't quite believe that version though, and she, as I mentioned, decides to investigate this, and she teams up with Sal's brother as well, Ravi, in order to get to the bottom of this case and find out what actually happened to Andy Bell. I feel like this is one you just need to dive into. It is such a great book. It has a load of mixed media elements to it because Pippa also documents her whole investigative journey on a podcast, and so we do get a lot of cool bits scattered in throughout, such as transcripts. We have maps and images, and yeah, it's just a really cool, very immersive reading experience, and I'm so happy, like I've said many times, to now own the ARC edition because yeah, it's just so special to me. Thank you so much, Gavin, for agreeing to send it my way. I know it was a busy time for you because of your move, but I really do appreciate it, and yeah, I can't believe that I now own this one. Moving on to some books that I bought myself now though. The first of those is Murder is Easy by Agatha Christie, which is a standalone murder mystery by the Queen of Crime herself. For those of you who don't know, over the last few years I have been growing my Agatha Christie collection. I own all of the Tommy and Tuppence, Miss Marple and Poirot books, and now I will hopefully be collecting all of her standalone murder mystery books. I do have a few and I do try and get them when I can. A lot of the times they aren't in any of my local Waterstones for some reason. We only have the most popular ones or ones that I do already own. So when I was placing a recent order on Waterstones online, I decided to throw this one into my basket and add it to my collection. The synopsis for this one reads: Luke Fitzwilliam does not believe Miss Pinkerton's wild allegation that a multiple murderer is at work in the quiet English village of Wychwood and that her local doctor is next in line. But within hours, Miss Pinkerton has been killed in a hit-and-run car accident. Mere coincidence? Luke is inclined to think so, until he reads in the Times of the unexpected demise of Wychwood's Dr. Humblebee. Now, this is one that I've actually seen the ITV adaptation for, so I do know how it goes. I don't know if I quite remember who was behind it, but I know the sequence of events that lead up to us finding out the murderer, so I am excited to dive into it because I am familiar with the story. Saying that though, I probably won't get to this one for a while because I am currently making my way through the Poirot books. I'd say I'm about a third of the way through. I still have a long ways to go, but I'm loving every single second of it, and I'm very happy to be adding this one to my collection because they've actually stopped doing the covers that I was collecting for the Marple and Poirot books. Luckily, I do own every single one, so I don't have to worry about that anymore, but I am a bit apprehensive that that is going to be the case with these ones soon as well, so I would like to try and get as many of these as I can before maybe having to panic buy the rest of them. So the fact that I got this one is a weight off my mind, and I'm very happy to be adding it to my collection. The next book I bought was Children of Anguish and Anarchy by Tommy Tomi Adeyemi, and this is the third and I believe final book in the Orisha trilogy. Now, I read the first book, Children of Blood and Bone, when it first came out, I want to say in like 2017 or 2018, and I fell in love with that world, you guys. Tomi Adeyemi herself blew up, the book was everywhere, she had a load of press and things like that, and she was also at Yelk, so I have met her. She is absolutely lovely, but unfortunately she took so long between writing all of her books that I feel like I've lost interest in this series as a whole. I've read the first book 3 times, I want to say. I've never read the second book, and yeah, I just wasn't sure whether or not I wanted to actually purchase this one. However, I did of course decide to just get it. I feel like I would have regretted it if I hadn't, but I feel like this is a lot shorter than the second book and definitely shorter than the first book, so I'm not sure I have the highest of hopes for it. But in the first book we follow our main character Zaylee, and she lives in a world that was once flowing with magic. However, the magic has been oppressed by a ruthless king. All of the magi were targeted and killed in order to try and eradicate magic from this world. However, Zaylee finds herself being one of the only people who could possibly bring magic back to the kingdom, and with the help of a rogue princess, Zaylee has to outrun the monarchy and a certain prince in particular in order to try and bring magic back to the world, whilst also facing a load of different difficult tasks along the way. I feel like that was a very poor synopsis, but to be honest I haven't read the first book in so long that I am not 100% sure on how to describe the book. I do think I'm going to film a reading vlog though, where I read all 3 books in this trilogy and give you guys my honest opinion on it. I know a lot of people who loved the first book but aren't planning on reading this last book now because of how long it was between all of the releases, and also because they just don't think it's going to be worth it. So that is my plan. I would like to read them and let you guys know what I actually think of these. It's a series that has been ongoing for a while, as I've mentioned, and now that the third and final book is out, I feel like I can properly dive into this world again and get immersed in it and just continue on with the story and see where it goes. So hopefully I enjoy it. I'm definitely going in with higher hopes, but I'm trying not to get myself too excited because I'm just not sure how it's going to wrap up. But I did want to get this one. I'm glad I have it in my collection. It's a gorgeous book, and hopefully I can get this vlog filmed pretty soon for you guys so that I can read these and let you know what my thoughts are on them. The next book that I bought was the second book in the Crowns of Nyaxia duology, which is The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. This is by Carissa Broadbent, who is a very well-known fantasy romance author. A lot of her books were self-published, but she has recently been picked up by a traditional publisher, which is why we have this gorgeous edition available. And I read the first book, which is The Serpent and the Wings of Night, I think in March for Realmathon, and I had a really good time with it. I feel like I've left it pretty long between reading that first book and diving into this one. I know that there's a novella as well, which I have ordered a hardcover copy of, but it still hasn't been released yet, so that is also on the way. But I do think I'm going to read that one on my Kindle and then dive into this one. I feel like because I didn't have it, I had been putting it off, but now that I have it in my collection, I am definitely wanting to dive in. The way that that first book ended was insane, and I need to know what's going on, guys, so I'm glad to finally own this one. But as I said, I may read it on my Kindle because it's how I read the first one and I had a really good time doing so. I'm not going to tell you the synopsis of the first book, and I'm not going to read you the synopsis of this one for obvious reasons, but I will read you the little snippet at the bottom. It says, filled with heart-wrenching romance, dark magic and bloodthirsty intrigue, The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King is the second book in the Crowns of Nyaxia series, the Hunger Games with vampires following on from The Serpent and the Wings of Night. If that doesn't have you intrigued, nothing will. The trials elements in this was one of the main things that I loved. I feel like this book in particular is going to be a lot more political. I don't quite know where we're going to go from here, so I am definitely excited to see. But I'm very happy to own this one now. I'm going to put it on my shelves with my first one, and it's a beautiful book that I am desperate to put on my bookshelves to display it because, yeah, it's just gorgeous. The next book I got was Hera by Jennifer Saint, and this, if you couldn't tell, is a Greek myth retelling. The synopsis of this one reads, when Hera, immortal goddess and daughter of the ancient Titan Cronus, helps her brother Zeus to overthrow the tyrannical father, she dreams of ruling at his side. As they establish their reign on Mount Olympus, Hera suspects that Zeus might be just as ruthless and cruel as the father they betrayed. She was always born to rule, but must she lose herself in perpetuating this cycle of violence and cruelty? Or can she find a way to forge a better world? Often portrayed as the jealous wife or the wicked stepmother, this retelling captures the many sides of Hera. Vengeful when she needs to be, but also compassionate, and most importantly, an all-powerful queen to the gods. That just sounds amazing. This is a beautiful book. I thought it was signed, but it isn't. And it's by the author of Ariadne, Electra and Atalanta, which you can probably see on my shelves there. I love myself a Greek myth retelling. I really do need to prioritize them actually, because I say I love them and then I feel like I haven't read any for a very long while, so I will need to try and get to this one soon. I'm a sucker for these gorgeous hardcover editions though, so I did pre-order this one. I'm very glad that it's arrived, and as I mentioned, I am very excited to dive into this one and learn more about Hera in this retelling. Next up, I have 3 books here to show you guys because I bought the new covers for the Bone Season series by Samantha Shannon. I do already own the first book, and then we have books 2, 3 and 4 here that have now been released. I don't know if they're in the right order, to be honest with you guys, because I haven't read any of the Bone Season books yet, so I'm sorry if they're not, but I had these pre-ordered because of how beautiful they are. I absolutely love them and I can't wait to put them on my shelves with the rest of my Samantha Shannon books. Unfortunately though, I can't tell you anything about these ones because I personally don't know anything about them myself. I have tried reading the Bone Season twice, I want to say. I didn't get all that far into it. I don't know why, but I just kept putting it down and then I soft DNF'd it, but I really did enjoy the writing style and I really did enjoy the premise. So I do feel like I just need to sit down and dedicate some time to that first book in order to finally fly through it. So some of you may think that it's stupid of me to have pre-ordered these. I probably do agree with you deep down, but I couldn't not. I think these are gorgeous. I wanted to have them to hand so that if I did read the first book and I loved it and wanted to carry on, then it was possible for me to do so. So whilst it's not the best decision, I am glad that I own them, and yeah, I can't wait to get to these when I eventually do. Right, we have now made it to my subscription box books, and I won't be talking about these ones too in depth because I do have dedicated unboxing videos for all 4 of the books that I'm about to show you guys. So if you would like to watch those, I will have them linked down below for you. But first off, I'm going to start with Fairyloot. I think that the book of the month for May was Honey Witch by Sydney J. Shields. This is a beautiful book, however I am apprehensive about it because it is a cozy fantasy. Whilst I love fantasy as a genre, cozy fantasy as a subgenre is something that I just really can't wrap my head around. I find them lacking in plot and intrigue, and so they just don't tend to work for me. But I'm hoping that this one is going to be a little bit different. We'll see. I am going to give it a go, but I am going into it with lowered expectations because of the fact that it is a cozy fantasy. Now, I was going to look for a little snippet to read you guys, but I can't find one, so I will read you a quote from someone on the back. There's one here by Brianne Randall, who is the author of The Unfortunate Side Effects of Heartbreak and Magic, that says, "Enchanting, whimsical, and firmly rooted in finding yourself after loss, this novel will break your heart and then soothe it with magic honey. Pour yourself a cup of tea, drizzle in some local honey, and let this decadent book transport you." I actually didn't know that it dealt with grief in some way, and I feel like now I may possibly want to pick it up sooner because I've definitely dealt with a lot of loss over the course of my life. Most recently, I did lose my auntie very, very suddenly and unexpectedly, and I'm still coming to terms with that years later. So whilst I find it hard to read about things like this, I feel like it's also very important to see grief represented, and I would like to see how it is tackled in this book. I know that it also features a sapphic romance in here as well, which is great. So as I said, hopefully it's one that I love, but I am going in with lowered expectations so that I'm not massively disappointed if I don't enjoy it as much. Then the Fairyloot book for June was The God and the Gumiho by Sophie Kim, and again, this doesn't seem to have a little snippet, which is a bit of a shame. I don't really want to read you this full synopsis because I've done that in the unboxing, so I will read you what it says on the back. It says, "He's a fallen god, she's a shape-shifting fox. They'll do anything to outsmart each other, anything except fall in love." The synopsis of this one definitely intrigued me. I'm hoping that it's going to be a very interesting fantasy read with elements of mythology and also possibly sci-fi, I'm not too sure. But the art on this one is definitely what is drawing me in. I feel like it's going to be such a fun read, and hopefully that is the case. I wasn't sure whether or not I wanted to skip this box to start off with, but I decided, of course, to give it a go just because I did think that it sounded like something I could potentially enjoy. So that is why I still have it, and yeah, hopefully I can get to it soon and let you guys know my thoughts. books. And then moving on to my Illumicrate books, we have this first one which I'm desperate to read, and that one is Of Jade and Dragons by Amber Chen. This is gorgeous. I may actually film a reading vlog where I read books that feature dragons, because I have this one. I've just recently received Where the Moon Hatched as well, which I believe features dragons, and I'll have to find one other one which I definitely have on my shelf somewhere and maybe feature in a vlog. So please do let me know if you guys would enjoy that. But yeah, this one is gorgeous, and again, it doesn't really have a little snippet, so I can't tell you too much about it. But essentially we have an 18-year-old main character who wants to become a world-class engineer like her father, but after his unexpected murder, Ying is determined to discover why anyone would threaten a man who ultimately chose a quiet life over fame and fortune. Left with only a journal of her father's engineering secrets and a jade pendant snatched from the assassin, Ying follows the trail to the capital and the prestigious Engineers Guild, a place that harbours her father's hidden past. Disguised as her brother, oh of course, I feel like this is a Milan retelling. It says, disguised as her brother, Ying manages to infiltrate the male-only apprenticeship trial with the help of an unlikely ally. With her father's renown placing a target firmly on her back, Ying must stay one step ahead of her fellow competitors, the jealous guildmasters, and the killer still hunting for her father's journal. And whilst all this is going on, she is also getting herself into an increasingly tangled relationship with the prince. So a lot of drama, a lot of things going on. I do like a murder mystery in my fantasy books, so that is definitely an element that intrigues me. But again, let me know if you guys would like a reading vlog where I read books featuring dragons. I feel like that would be really fun, because who doesn't love dragons? And yeah, I have 2 perfect books lined up, and I just want to find a third unless you guys can give me recommendations. And then the last book that I have is the most recent Illumicrate book, and that is Goddess of the River by Vaishnavi Patel. This has a load of praise on the back, guys, so I definitely feel like it's going to be a book worth reading. It says here, a mother and a son, a goddess and a prince, a curse and an oath, a river whose course will change the fate of the world. A powerful reimagining of the story of Ganga, goddess of the river, and her doomed mortal son, from Vaishnavi Patel, author of the instant New York Times bestseller Kaikei. I don't actually own Kaikei, but when it first came out I was really intrigued to pick it up, so I feel like I'm going to read this one, and if I like it I will of course go and read her debut, which again received so much praise, so I will definitely be trying to prioritize this one soon. I know I say that about all of the books I haul, but my aim is to try and read them as soon as possible, even though that isn't always the case. I feel like this is going to be a really poignant and important read, and again it's going to deal with a lot of trauma and grief because of the way in which these characters are kind of doomed from the get-go. So I feel like it's going to be a sad but compelling read, and again it's one that I am excited to get to, even though I do have a lot of stacks of books to try and read throughout the summer holidays. So there we have it, guys. These are all of the books that I bought during May and June. I didn't think it was going to be this many, but a lot of books came through, and yeah, now I have this big pile of books, which isn't the best, but it's one of those, isn't it, where I had stuff pre-ordered, I didn't cancel or skip any subscription boxes, and yeah, now I have this big pile, which I'm not mad about, to be honest, because I'm very excited for each and every single one of these. But I'm trying to make room on my shelves at the minute, and hauling this many books isn't helping. So I'm going to put these down because they're heavy, and I'm going to try and prioritize them very soon so that I can see whether or not I actually need to keep them in my forever collection. If you have made it this far through into the video and would like to tell me that you're still here, please go ahead and leave me your favourite emoji down in the comments. I'm going to switch it up this time, guys. I always tell you which emoji to leave, but this time I'm leaving it up to you. Please leave me one of your favourite emojis down below to let me know that you were here. I feel like I may have rambled on and gone through these books quite quickly this time around, mainly because I'm conscious of the fact that I do tend to waffle on in these hauls and they just end up being way too long. So apologies for that, but if you've made it this far, I would love to know. As well as that, please don't forget to click the like button if you like this video and the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content from me. But that is it from me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. It truly does mean the world to me, and I will see you soon in my next video. Goodbye!